Hello guys, welcome to another virtual science lesson. Today we are going to talk about the environment and one of its abiotic part, which is water. And guys, here's the globe, and as you can see, it's covered in water. In this pie chart, you can see the whole amount of water, but what is really important is the fact that 97% of all water is saline, which means it contains salt, and this is about water that we can find in seas and oceans. And today we are going to talk about a very specific part of surface water, which are surface inland waters, które po polsku to są śródlądowe wody. Wody śródlądowe, w dodatku powierzchniowe. And guys, as you can see, out of the whole amount of water that we have available on Earth, only 3%, which is a tiny fraction, is called fresh water, which is suitable for drinking. Out of this 3%, over almost 70% is held in glaciers, which are the ice caps at the South Pole, which is the Antarctica, and the glaciers that are found in Greenland and basically around the North Pole, where occasionally the sea freezes. Also, the ice caps that are high in the mountains, those white spots here, are basically glaciers. From those 3%, out of which 70% is held in ice caps and glaciers, 30% is below the ground. So basically, it's not something that we're going to talk about today. So surface water stands for only 0.3% of water, of fresh water that we have. And those are lakes, rivers, and swamps. Here is the picture of a swamp. And guys, water present on surface of the ground inside the land are surface inland waters. They make natural bodies of water and streams. They can either be natural or artificial, and they can be divided into two groups. So surface inland waters can be divided into two groups. Standing, czyli wody stojące, and flowing. And guys, examples of standing waters are lakes, ponds, and swamps. Examples of flowing water are rivers, are streams, and canals. And guys, let's find an example of a standing water, which is a lake. Let's just zoom in and browse. This is here an example of a standing water. Here is the lake. A lake is a natural form of body of water that may vary in forms. Some of them are like this, which have very distinct and various shapes. Some are bigger, some are smaller, but they are all natural and created by natural processes. Then we have ponds, which are really small, tiny holes in the ground filled with water, and they are usually human-made, which means that people have digged a hole in the ground, filled it with water, and now they use it to keep fish. And swamps are natural areas that often form when a lake is being overgrown with plants. And here you have an example. So we have plenty of plants growing, but you can see that this is all overflown with water. There is basically no stable ground in here, so it's very dangerous to roam in the swamps because you might lose the stable ground underneath your feet, and then you might fall, and it's very difficult to get out of it. And guys, if it comes to rivers, basically rivers are places where the water is naturally flowing, and here you can see the Vistula River that is flowing through Warsaw. If it comes to streams, they are similar to rivers, but much, much smaller because a river can be really huge. Rivers can carry hundreds of millions of liters of water every second, whereas streams are just tiny. And canals are similar to rivers, but they are made by humans. And guys, as you can see, here is Vistula River, which is brownish. And here, this line that I'm right now following is the canal that is made by people. And as you can see, it's smaller. It's almost entirely straight because it was artificially made for our needs. So guys, with blue, I will underline natural forms. And with red, I will mark artificial forms. And guys, let's focus on rivers. And rivers are natural. On maps, they are marked with blue color with their names in darker blue font. This, what you can see on the left of the screen, is not a map, it's a picture, direct picture from the satellite. So here the colors are natural, but if it was a map, you can check it on Google Maps, then it would be blue. Water in a river is not flowing with the same speed in its whole volume. There are places where it flows faster, and that is called the current. Actually, in case of Vistula in Warsaw, it's very difficult to show you the current because it's not clearly visible in those places. But let me redraw this here. So the Vistula goes like this. I'm actually redrawing what's in the screen. And guys, believe me or not, but in reality, this is the place where the flow is the quickest. And this is called the current. Po polsku to jest nurt rzeki. Place in the river where the water flows the quickest. Depending on the form of land, the current can be faster or slower. River creates its riverbed, and over time the valley is being formed, and it's quite clearly visible in here. Guys, in the middle, pity I cannot make any annotations on this, but take a look. The river with those yellowish sand dunes in the middle is the riverbed. So this is the place where the water flows. To the west of it and to the right on the screen, you can see that green area with not that many trees. There are some, but still this is a part of a valley. Yes, rivers, they flow, so they carry a lot of material, which is called debris. Rivers can carry debris with their current. And this debris can be small rocks, this can be twigs, sand, and river slit. Po polsku to jest muł rzeczny. River slit is basically tiny grains of sand, tiny grains of mineral, which is very nutritious for the plants. So the valleys of river where there is plenty of this river slit, they are perfect places for farming plants because the soil contains lots of nutrients and it is very good for the plants to grow. And guys, a river usually finishes in its journey in a sea. So let's say Baltic Sea. Here is Baltic Sea and here is Vistula River. See Vistula River in the bottom of the screen, and then the river flows and it exits the riverbed directly into the sea. This place is called the mouth of the river, czyli po polsku ujście rzeki. But if a river has its end, it also has to have its beginning. So let's go with Vistula. Vistula flows somewhere here, and basically it goes here, and it flows through Krakow. Can you still see it? Wisła, Vistula River. So basically it goes like this, and then it goes to this place. This is the place where Vistula River begins its travel, and the place where the river starts is called the spring. Źródło rzeki. So guys, a river has its spring where it begins its journey, and it has its mouth of the river, which is the end of its journey. Guys, river has two banks, usually. But let's take a look at Vistula River once again. It flows through Warsaw. And let's wait for it to load. And I will redraw it here. So, In this case, Vistula is flowing to the north. North is at the top of the screen. This means that the current is flowing somewhere like this. So guys, which bank is left or right? Basically, you have to face the mouth of the river with the spring behind your back, and it turns out that the left side of the river, the left bank of the river, is on your left side. So this is left bank, and this is the right bank. If we took a look at Vistula like this, I'm redrawing it once again. We will see that the north is at the bottom of the screen and the current is flowing like this. So once again, the left bank will be here and the right bank will be there. Taking a look at the districts, here is Praga, which is on the right bank of Vistula River. And let's find our school in here. Here we have Mokotów. And we have to wait for it to load, unfortunately. Okay. So guys, here, this building is our school. Our school is located on the left bank of the river. Guys, let's focus on the significance for us. Significance of rivers. First of all, its source of water. It depends on the region where you are, but some places, some cities, they take water from the river. And let's take a look in here. Here is Vistula River, and wait for it to load. Here is this green object that is in the middle of the current of the Vistula River. What is it? This is the place where we take our drinking water. Later on, this water is being pumped to the station where it's being cleaned and then pumped into the network of pipes and delivered to all the citizens living in the city. The next significance of river is the fact that it's a means of transport. So we can use boats in order to transport things. And let's go here, south to Warsaw. And there is somewhere this place here. At the top of the screen you have the left bank, at the bottom of the screen you have the right bank. And basically what is happening in here is the boat that is carrying something. This is a ferry that helps to connect two places, two cities, the town of Karczew with the town of Konstancin. So this is a means of transport as well. But we have also places to relax, places to go out and take a breath. So this is also, rivers are also used for recreational purposes. So we can just lay on the beach and enjoy the good weather, or we can ride the boat, or do basically whatever however we want to spend our free time. Also, rivers are source of fish. Some of the freshwater fish live in rivers, and we can catch them and then have food. Also, all those tiny islands in the middle of the current, they are perfect habitats for aquatic animals, especially birds. But also, the water is home to many fish, to many amphibians, to many plants. So, this is a habitat for many animals and plants. Okay, guys, so each second a certain amount of water is flowing in a river. We learned how to measure it, and we have a name for it. The name is the discharge. Po polsku przepływ is the amount of water flowing through the river. And guys, it depends on two factors. First type is the bedrock, and the second it's weather. If it's really warm and dry, the water will evaporate. There will be no rain, so the discharge will gradually fall down. It will be smaller and smaller. If this state is held for a longer time, then we have a hydrological drought. Czyli susza hydrologiczna. Discharge of water flowing in the river is smaller than the average. And this is the case that we have to deal with right now. Unfortunately, there was some rain in the previous days, but still scientists say that we are facing the threat of a huge drought. And the fact that the discharge in Vistula River right now is much, much smaller than usual, than it should be, is one of the arguments supporting this thesis. But there is also another case when there is plenty of rainfall, plenty of snowfall. If that snow is melting in the spring, more and more water will flow through the rivers. What is happening then? The discharge is getting greater and greater, and it's called the overflow. Po polsku wezbranie. Discharge is bigger than average. And guys, what is usually happening in such cases? Let's take a look here. If the discharge is bigger, then basically the water will not be contained in its riverbed. So it will flow out of the banks of the river, and it will flow out onto this green area. So basically nothing bad will happen, because this is only forest. But let's take a look further to the south and wait for this to load. What if this overflow happens in this place. If it's so big that it reaches those farmlands in the center of the screen right now, or this village in the center of the screen, this overflow will become a flood. Powódź. So flood is a specific kind of overflow which makes some damage to farmlands, people's homes and properties. Basically, it gives some damage. So guys, every flood is a overflow, but not every overflow is a flood. Guys, so basically, this is it for today. What I want you to remember is the fact that we have surface inland waters that basically serve for 0.3% of all the resources of water that we have in the whole globe, which is a tiny, tiny, tiny percent. Then that we have standing waters and flowing waters. Some of them are natural, some of them are made by humans. That we have a current, that is the place where the water is flowing the quickest, that rivers can carry debris with them, that they have the spring where they start and they have their ends, which are called the mouths of the rivers, that rivers have two banks, left and right, and you have to face the mouth of the river and have spring behind your back in order to tell which one is left and which one is right. I want you to be able to point out the significance of rivers, and I want you to know what those are: discharge, drought, overflow, and flood. As usual, thank you for watching and go check out your assignments.